This is that part where everyone goes, is this live? I don't know, is it on? And they like look and do like 7 weird things. That's actually what I normally would do anyways. Because I never do IG lives, but I should do more of them. And I'm really excited today because I'm going to talk to Spencer Wall, who's a luxury real estate agent from, fun fact, Laguna Beach, which is a place that I first lived in when I moved to California when I was 18 years old. So I can't wait to talk to him. And he's definitely more technically advanced than I am. So he will be hopping on here in a second. So today's a perfect example. Again, I don't do a lot of IG lives, which I'm happy to do more of if you guys care about. But it's a perfect example of a typical day in my life. So I am in a full-on suit situation here, which, because, you know, that's just how I sit around my house. No, it's because I'm actually going to do a interview for Thursday Night Football at Fox in a couple hours. So I'm dressed for that, but before that, I'm going to talk to Spencer and about a bunch of different things, and so I'm looking forward to it. So I don't know. One second. This is that awkward moment when you check to see if I'm supposed to be doing something to let him into this. I don't know. Also, if you hear barking in about 20 minutes, it's because my dogs will be back at home. So here's the backyard, and they go with their dog walker because I'm a wonderful mother. Although I got a note from my neighbor the other day saying that my dogs were barking. I'm like, they're not even here. So if you're my neighbor and you're watching this, the dogs aren't even here. Yell at the other neighbor. Let's see here. I'm supposed to accept his request? How do I do such a thing? Yes, please say this is it. Please say this is it. I knew I was gonna mess something up. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. I was just joking when I jumped on here that I never go on IG Live, and I'm shocked that this even worked. Even if I was a few minutes delayed to accepting your request, my apologies. Hi.
No apologies. How are you today?
You look very tan. Where are you coming from?
I live in Laguna Beach.
I know, but I mean, I won't say where I live because, well, I had an incident where somebody found out where I live and it was bad, but that's not important. I live somewhere where it's just as sunny, and I do not have that tan. Mine is manufactured with bronzer.
Well, when I'm out showing homes, I just take the time to soak up the sun. So as much as I can. It's a rough life.
Well, I'm excited to be talking to you today. Everyone's excited that jumped on here because then they don't have to listen to me ramble about my dog walker.
Thank you for joining us in Berkshire Hathaway California Properties. We're all excited to hear your tips and design expertise.
Oh, well, thank you. Berkshire Hathaway has been wonderful. I used to do some home tours for them. And so the California Properties are wonderful, and always happy to talk to a new friend and especially talk about homes, as it's something that, you know, I've always loved it, but as of late has, you know, been something that has dominated more landscape in my life.
Your home looks beautiful. That is your home back there?
It is my home.
Wow.
Yes. I don't know how much you can see in this view, but they're, yeah.
Floating stairway looks
Floating
amazing.
stairs, yes. The dog bed's under the stairs. I have a big thing about, like, you know, I'm sure I'll feel this way too when I have kids. Like, the kids and the dogs can't dominate the house, so their bed resides underneath the stairs, and they're only allowed in at night. If you have a yard, like, the dogs can live out there. But yeah, that's my home, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Awesome. Let's get going. What should we talk about?
Well, I think, you know, coming from your background in luxury real estate and in a place that, you know, before you jumped on, I had mentioned, I moved to Laguna Beach when I was 18 years old. I remember visiting there as a kid and saying, I want to live here. So I lived up the canyon by Pageant of the Masters.
Wow.
And I worked at the Nordstroms off El Toro Road. And I worked at the Starbucks in Corona Del Mar. And then I ended up opening up my own coffee stand in Corona Del Mar. So it's a place that's near and dear to my heart. But I know not everyone, you know, has the luxury of maybe having the checkbook to afford the home, homes that you sell. So I think it's really important, and a big reason why I wanted to start my own company, House and Home, is to offer affordable luxury, right? Because everyone deserves to live in a place that they're really proud of. And it doesn't have to always come at a big cost. You can really do a few things that allow your home to look like the ones that you see in magazines or, in the Instagram pictures.
100%. And what comes to mind when you say that is, I had a line when I'm helping sellers get homes ready for market, and it's not exactly correct, but a paint can is worth $30 in the can, but $30,000 on the walls.
Amazing.
Those little things that you can do to add value, increase your equity, and also just make your home more homey, are pretty simple. They don't have to drain the bank account, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. And just to introduce everyone, so Spencer Wall, and you are a luxury real estate agent in Southern California. I know a bunch of people that will jump on here, and thank you for everyone for tuning in, but haven't been to Laguna Beach before. So how would you describe it? Heaven?
I mean, I've been here 11 years now. My wife and I moved here the night we got married, and I still pinch myself.
Great night.
Yeah, and a good move. I mean, I do still today feel like it's a movie set.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's sheer beauty from a landscape perspective. Amazing architecture, amazing, we have coves, crystal clear water, beautiful sand as far as you can see. Then the architecture, when it gets to real estate, it's just like anything you could ever want, from tiny little, quintessential beach cottage to oceanfront modern masterpiece. It's the ideal place to do my job. I love it.
Yeah. So you and I are obviously at different ends of the spectrum, but the same objective, which is to make our clients happy, and to provide them with a home that they love. Right. So, when you're showing homes, maybe it's not exactly how they want it yet, but then if they hired someone like myself in our company, or, brought in even for staging, to sort of make the home more appealing. There's a lot of different aspects. So, we can kind of go back and forth here, but just sort of macro ideas for individuals that are watching. I'm starting from the staging part of things. When you're walking a client through a home, yes, albeit you have some luxury ones available in your backyard, but I'd like to talk about the ones that look like more of the fixer-uppers.
Yeah.
And sort of how you approach that, and then how someone like myself or our company at House and Home can help you sell that home.
Staging's critical and crucial. I know people are very proud of their homes as they are and as they're living in them, but when your home is for sale, it goes from a home to a property. That's how I educate people, or an asset. This is purely business.
Yeah.
We don't care how you feel in your home anymore. I know that sounds cold, but the truth is you're there to attract the buyer population. And there's a lot of different types of buyers, and emotions rule the world in residential real estate. So you really need to pull, not just on the showings, but when the people are in your home, in escrow, you got to constantly be pulling on their heartstrings, and they got to they can't let it go emotionally. They can't sleep at night. They wake up the next morning thinking about that house. And the ways to do that are to really, I call it fluff the home, really.
Oh yeah.
Just fluff it up and make it emotionally appeal, call it blankets, call it pillows, obviously nice furniture helps, but if you're on a budget, those little things, just good art, cheap art. It doesn't have to be in mirrors and then painted in, and squeaky clean. You have to be. I show a lot of homes that are dirty, and it's like, you're not going to rent a hotel room for a night that's dirty. You're not going to buy a home oftentimes unless you're looking for an actual fixer-upper that's dirty.
Well, it's an interesting time, and I feel like that's like the marquee phrase of 2020. But in home purchasing, in home selling, and in just the habitation of the home itself, people are spending so much time there. And we actually started this company, House and Home, during this quarantine time, because we found that there was a need and a want to you know, elevate your space that you're spending so much time in, or different
Yeah.
rooms that maybe you thought like, oh, it's finally time to do something with these.
100%.
So, you know, again, you're selling and helping people buy their home, their dream home or their second home or whatever. And it's my job to help you in that. So,
For sure.
you know, you mentioned the staging. I think that it can't be overstated that the cleanliness part is, why wouldn't you clean your home? So everyone that's watching and looking to either, you know, sell their home or to rent another home or to buy something, it's like, just keep the space clean.
Yeah.
First and foremost, that's the number one thing that you can do. But also there
And
are,
fresh,
you know,
and fresh with the
yeah,
other accessories, you know, just
totally. There are 5 like easy things that I would say, like fresh flowers, right? When you walk into a
absolutely.
home, you want to feel like you're walking. I always think about it like when I walk into a hotel room, right? When you walk into a lobby of a hotel room and there's fresh flowers in the entryway, that's how you
Yeah.
should walk into your home. So flowers is a very by the way, Trader Joe's has the cheapest flowers. So you don't have to go to Whole Foods. Costco also has very cheap flowers. So if anybody wants to know where to get fresh flowers, fresh flowers is number one for me when you walk into cleanliness, then fresh flowers. And also the pillows is a great example and a cheap way to elevate your space.
Yeah.
People need to envision themselves in that home. So keep a neutral palette. If you start having all these wild and crazy colors, which may be great for you, but you're trying to appeal to that buyer that you bring in, keep it neutral. Don't turn them off by like a crazy, you know, colored couch or whatever. Like, just keep the space neutral. And you mentioned, does somebody want to come in? Tell her hi.
They must. Do you want to come in?
She wants to know if she can purchase a home. You mentioned the paint can, but if you've got an accent wall that's red, or in my case, I actually added these accent walls, Spencer. This house was very white, very, very modern. And accent walls are great to warm up the space, but maybe somebody comes into this home and it's like, what the hell is that color, right? So if you...
On that point, just before, without moving on from that, when you're photographing or videoing a home, which I do, it's like crucial to have the best of the best in video and photos. Your first showing is actually online. And so if you have this crazy color that people just can't understand from a photography perspective, people can click right past your home. So you really want to appeal to as many people as you can online first too.
I always say it's like dating. I've never dated online, but I imagine if you put a profile up and you put yourself in a Halloween costume, people are going to be like, that's scary and that person's weird. So keep your profile in dating and your profile of your home showing neutral and appealing, and let, you know, the individual not just click past your home or click past your dating profile because they're turned off by, again, I'm not trying to say don't be original, don't be yourself, but if the objective is to appeal to a mass audience and then you can vet out from there, at least keep, you know, things more appealing to the masses at the beginning, right? And then let them come in to the home and be like, well, that's a little bit weird, that's a little bit weird, whatever. So yeah, I mean, painting is number one.
I'm not meaning to cut you off.
No, not at all.
You're the expert. But for my realtor friends that are listening and wanting tips, is like, if you have those rooms or spaces that just don't photograph well, they don't have to be online. You know, you can really be very selective with the photos and the way you portray your digital media to the world. And it's the world now. And more people are online than ever. Well,
especially during COVID, right? And I'd be curious, Spencer, how your business has changed when, you know, prospective buyers can't always go into a home because of the COVID restrictions. And so you are really reliant on those pictures, which is even more of a reason to make sure that it's staged the right way. I mean, you can really manipulate the space. And you're not trying to sell something that doesn't exist, but you can just make sure it looks nicer than it
Absolutely.
does.
You're not trying to deceive people. We all know Photoshop, and we all know what, I'm sorry to say, the real estate agents can do with photos. And you don't want to have that. You don't want to pull the carpet out from under someone and they get to the house and like, oh, like, I'm totally disappointed. You want it to be as real, authentic as possible. And you can do that with the right stager, the right design, you know. Easily.
So since this is a joint conversation and want to make sure that we educate anyone that is watching and interested, for, you know, dual standpoints. Again, mine's coming from whether it's staging or just the decoration side or design side. Once, you know, once a home is sold, we come in and then, you know, really curate it to the individual desires of the buyer. But until then, what are some suggestions? And it's great for me to hear from a real estate standpoint. What could I do, or what could House and Home do, or what can individuals do aside from keeping their home clean and a paint can to get their home ready?
Yeah, no, you touched on a few of them. It's flowers, number one. I think a bowl of fresh fruit on the countertop is huge.
An apple a day doesn't just keep the doctor away. My goodness.
Dual uses here. You can, you know, not grab the stuff in the cupboard and eat fresh and also sell your home. It just needs, fresh is the word. It's, you want a home to not feel stale. And fresh fruit, fresh flowers, scents. Like,
yes, light a candle. I have a candle on at all times. Can we see the candle? Yep, we can.
You can see it. Yeah,
that's from Amazon, and it's a total hack on this like Chateau Marmont like scent or whatever. That's very expensive. But yes, I agree. Creating that, like, bake some cookies even.
Drop a, I mean, for the realtors, again, it's a couple drops of vanilla in the oven on low. Just in a little.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let's get into this. What do you mean drops of vanilla in the oven?
You don't have to do the cookie thing, the whole thing. Like when I'm getting a house ready for buyers to come by, I have an actual little vanilla dropper, you know, screw the top off. And all you do is have the oven on low and a little ceramic thing. And you drop in 10 drops and it smells amazing.
Fun.
Especially in the wintertime. Like right now.
So we've captured their attention with the fresh flowers and the fruit and the smell. But
they don't even know it though. They don't know that their attention is like they're being not manipulated. They're being drawn in. They're being brought. You know, their
it's a first impression. Like I keep going back to that dating thing, but it is. I mean, when you're dating someone, it's that I mean, especially at a certain age in your life, like mine, you're looking for that long-term commitment. When you're buying a home, you're making a long-term commitment, right? Yeah. Unless it's something, a rental, and you want to flip and you don't care as much. I mean, there's a lot of parallels, right, to the investment that you're making
100%.
in your future. Yeah, in your future. So, you know, so that's great. So those are some staging tips. As far as the actual design, you know, I mentioned staying neutral to appeal to all buyers. If people can't afford to spend a lot of money to bring in new furniture or things like that, I always suggest just changing out the pillowcases, as I mentioned before, or even a lampshade. A very inexpensive way from a design standpoint is, let's say the base of the lamp is not that attractive. Just bring in a linen lampshade or something that's going to just keep things very neutral for the space. And to your point, like you mentioned, blankets and things like that. What are some things that you see in homes that you go into that you're like, oh, they got this completely wrong?
Well, for a home seller, you know, one of the things they don't want to do, you've lived in this home, let's say 10 years. And then I come in as an agent and say, this is what's selling in today's market. You're going to have to write some checks. One really cool thing through Berkshire Hathaway we have for our clients is called Pinnacle. It's a company, independent, one call, one person, and you don't have to pay for anything until close of escrow. And they can do anything from paint. Hey, I just want to paint the house. Cost you $1,500. Paid at close of escrow. No checks written. Or you can remodel the whole kitchen. You can go as far as you want, depending on the, you know, the price point. Yeah. But the return on investment is, and it's actually not even an investment. It's just saying yes to the program. That's one way. Is you can just, you know, make that. I keep going back to investment, but it's not. You just use that program in order to get
Pinnacle
more for your money. Yeah, Pinnacle is exclusively through Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.
How has the climate changed for you during this time? Because I know that for me individually, from a design standpoint, it's increased heavily because people are spending so much time in their home and looking around and being like, I don't like this and I don't like this. And there's very inexpensive and affordable ways to fix their space. But how about for you?
Well, personally, our home, we're doing more projects than we ever have.
Yeah.
We're remodeling bathrooms, front door, landscaping. Yeah, you're staring at your space and you're in, this is where you spend your days, you know? And so why not make it the true definition of a home, you know, and enjoy your space? So I think there's two parts of it. Staging is one thing, getting the house ready to sell. But like when they close, what I'm seeing my clients do is hire people like you who are in demand. and contractors who are extremely in demand right now, and making their personality shine in the house. They're, you know, the grays and the whites and the blacks are very safe colors right now, but you're seeing people put really bold, warm, comfortable things in their house that speaks to them, whether it's art or furniture, whatever it is. They really want their home to reflect themselves and not just be ready for a magazine shoot once they're in them. You know, maybe for the staging and selling side, but not once you're living in the home like you are.
And going back to that paint thing, paint's not just for walls, right? I'm doing a home right now that painting, they can't afford to rip out all the cabinetry because it's a huge expense, right? Like you know, and you're in your field, bathrooms and kitchens are those selling points. So if you can't afford to rip all that out, even painting the cabinetry for this particular client is making a huge difference. It went from this ugly 80s, like real maple kind of wood to we just painted everything white and we changed out the hardware. So I think, you know, from my experience in dealing with various clients, sometimes they can't visualize what this space would look like. So that's where we come in, right? And say, forget what these cabinets look like right now. We can fix all of those. So I imagine it's probably the same for you in your profession, is trying to get them to envision this isn't exactly what it's going to be, but it could look like this.
Yeah. As a real estate agent, it's all about the team. It's all about your designer. It's all about your architect, your contractor, your inspector. It's having the right team, and design is so important. When you have somebody that needs a concept, that needs a vision, it doesn't, it's maybe 1 in 10 buyer clients of mine that are just like, oh, I can see that wall gone and they will nuke this place, you know, like we're just going to blow it up. And all that I need is the square footage and the volume in the rooms. Like, but most people need hand holding, you know, through that
what's the question you say that you get the most?
In what aspect?
When somebody walks, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, forget the economic, like, oh, can we get this house lower or whatever. Just from a design aesthetic standpoint, when people walk into a home, what do you think is the number one thing that they, in your experience, that they, you know, ask more than not?
Well, I think that's more of, I don't get the questions about design. I defer the designers to the clients, you know? So I don't really know how to answer that question. Like, really, because you need to find a fit with your designer. My clients, I'll say, contact this, and this designer.
Okay, so you were so you refer them to various designers.
Exactly.
What is you know, something that you can suggest to clients if they, for example, if they can't envision the space to be a certain way? You know, how do you help them visualize that in the moment?
Yeah, like have a lot of designers nowadays and architects are able to provide a rendering, like actually, you know, just the computer generated image of, forget what you see, this is what it's going to look like. And even on my Instagram page, probably the last 3 posts ago, there's a rendering, and then there's a brand new photo of the brand new actual property. And it looks almost exactly the same. Like the sketched out computer image and the actual construction with the human beings and their dogs in the property. It's mind blowing to me. That people can do that.
They look so real. I remember clicking on a piece of property and I truly thought that was already constructed because it looked so real when in fact it was just a rendering. So Spencer, just to sort of, you know, give some, you know, for those individuals that knew that we were going to be chatting today, and you know, from my aspect of my, you know, vantage point, the design, and from you, the seller, and helping buyers, what would you say to first-time buyers, and sort of some tips for them, especially, I mean, it goes without saying that the climate that we're in, but you know, people have money still and want to get in the game, even if there seems like there's a, you know, a lack of economic movement because of everything that's going on. There still is people that have cash in hand and want to get moving. So what would you suggest to them as first-time buyers?
I mean, home's never been more important. Like, you want to, and the pride of ownership, to own the walls around you and above you, that alone is a reason enough to buy. But then from a long-term investment perspective, with interest rates where they are right now,
good or bad?
The interest rates?
Yeah.
They're the lowest they've ever been in history.
Say that again so everyone can understand that they can get in the game here.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about your payment. Like, prices have went up. I educate my first-time buyer clients and say, yeah, but they're going to continue to. And if you put your stake in California real estate today, and make an investment, maybe not a year from now, you're going to win and build equity. But in 5 years, I promise you, and you know where to find me. Like, it's a forced savings account. You get to pay a mortgage and build your equity, pay down your mortgage, appreciation. So you're building equity every month.
Instead of paying somebody else's mortgage.
Exactly. You're putting money in a landlord's bank account versus your own. So it's a win, especially if you buy in the right place and location.
I was just going to say, a lot of that has to do, you know, the old adage of location, location, location.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you deal specifically in California, but there could be some people watching that are outside of California. So for you guys, I apologize. That being said, right now, focusing on the California market, what would be some of your suggestions for people that are watching that can take advantage of your suggestions here?
It doesn't matter who you are, where you are. You just need to get in the game. You need to get in the property ladder. If you are in a place where you're a single person or couple, buy the 1-bedroom condo and just get a feel for ownership. Get qualified, save for your down payment, but there's always a starting place, but you have to start. You know, you can't, you've got to want it, dream of it. It's still the American dream, in my opinion, to own. So for first-time home buyers, you just make it a goal. If it seems unrealistic, you'd be surprised, but you got to get that right team. You got to get that right real estate agent. You got to get the right lender and just start the conversation and start.
I was going to say, sometimes it's daunting. I remember that pride and that feel of purchasing my own home, and it didn't come until later in my life, but it was this idea that, okay, now I know where I'm going to be and I want to put my stake in the ground, watching like Far and Away. And he's like, you know, Tom Cruise style, like, this is your plot of land and it means something and it matters. But after the economic downturn in 2008 and the housing crash, there was this idea of making sure that, you know, lenders felt comfortable loaning money to individuals because of all the stuff that we experienced with the ninja loans and the non-income, non-job approved kind of individuals. So, you know, that idea of putting 25% down, what would you suggest, or what would you say to first-time buyers that are like, that seems great, that I want to get in the game, but maybe I don't have this much yet, what they can do to get involved?
It's about the long-term vision, saving for that down payment. But I know for a fact, because I've had enough conversations with first-time buyers, they are nervous about that. Hey, what if the housing market crashes? But the simple reminder I give them is, in 2008, people were living large off their home equity. They were buying jet skis, they were buying cars, they were going on vacations. They were buying things that go down in value, or just actually throwing your cash in the wind. And then they were putting them against their house. And so the minute the housing industry turned downward, it crashed and crumbled into the depths of hell, really. It was a fiery burn the whole way down. Now, 50% of Americans own their home free and clear. 50% of Americans don't have a payment on their house. So there isn't that over leverage nationally in homes. So I don't say don't worry, but I'm just saying, the housing industry is actually going to support this whole thing we're going through right now.
That's really important what you just said, as opposed to the other economic downturns that we've had, that the housing market might have been the reason for it, right? So you're saying that the housing market will actually support the economic downturn we're currently in.
Because they've never been so important. And people want to live their best life now. They're pulling the trigger. If they've been on the fence about, hey, I lived in LA for 15 years, in New York City, and I just want to come out and breathe the fresh air off the Pacific and live in a beautiful place. Whatever it is, they're just in whatever location you're going to, it's getting off the fence and wanting to be in a space they love.
Well, I will say this, I spent half my time in New York, and I didn't during COVID, but now going back out east, it's a ghost town, and there are so many people that have made their way out west to, you know, buy up those pieces of property that maybe they wouldn't have thought about before, because now their jobs allow them to stay at home and work. And so they're thinking, hey, if I am going to go, to work every day in my living room or my, office or whatever, I might as well love where I live even more. And you're not having to stay in a city like New York. And again, I love New York, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is an opportunity
Currently.
that you're afforded this opportunity to maybe make some moves that you wouldn't have made without COVID. So I only have you for a few more minutes, but just sort of, in closing, I think that for those people watching, I would love for you guys to just take away the idea that get in the game, according to Spencer, right? It's very similar to like starting a workout routine or whatever. It's going to feel daunting and overwhelming, but once you get in the game and seek the professionals like yourself and the experts at Berkshire Hathaway, Home Properties, it's just, you got to get involved and you'll never regret it, right? Like I never regret purchasing a home and know that that is my 401k plan moving 100%. On down the road, right? Like that's my real estate. My real estate is my 401k. As an independent contractor, I'm paid through my companies, but this is a place that I can then turn back to if all things fail. So
and your safe space in the present. It is a long-term investment, but you get to enjoy it now.
Yeah, it does feel overwhelming though if you're on the outside looking in. And so I think the message for everyone with the help of someone like yourself is it doesn't have to feel overwhelming, and it's actually a much easier process if you have the right support staff around you. And for those people that are looking to sell their homes because you want to get out from underneath it, or maybe you want to make a move to a different location because you can, ensure that your staging is simple and appeals to the mass audience. Grab a can of white paint. Get rid of maybe some flair that you had that you thought was great that other buyers will be turned off with on that initial scroll through, whatever app you're using, preferably Berkshire Hathaway's for Home Properties. But I just think that that's really important to remember, that it's not as overwhelming as everyone thinks from a design standpoint and from a buying standpoint.
With the right team, you can hold their hand the whole way and make it easy.
Awesome.
Sure.
Well, it has been so nice to talk to you, and give my best to Orange County. You
Come
guys,
back.
Yeah, I know, right?
Expand in Orange County. Well, we need your services.
Is the Johnny Rockets still on the corner?
It's gone.
No, I love the Johnny Rockets on the corner. I used to play basketball on the basketball courts right across the street.
Yes, you have a piece of your heart in Laguna. You need to make your way back.
I wasn't of the drinking age when I lived there, so it was always my dream to come back. Is the White House, is that still there?
It just closed this year.
Oh my God, Spencer, this is devastating. I finally
the landscape's changing though. Do you know who
I'm 100.
Mr. Chow?
Yeah.
He's looking at some concepts here right now. So we're bringing in some new flavors.
He's done well for himself. Are you okay? Yes. Good. And I know that you're running point on all of that. Well, if anyone in the Southern California, or I don't want to limit you to Southern California, just in general, if you have any questions about either getting in the game or expanding your portfolio, Spencer Wall is the man to go to. Berkshire Hathaway. You guys are incredible. I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you and hopefully educate individuals a little bit on what they can do, whether they're in a home or looking to buy a home right now.
Thank you for your time, Krista.
Of course. Have a great afternoon. I got to get down to Laguna. A lot has changed. That's the messaging.
The beauty awaits.
Okay. Have a great afternoon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye. Thanks for joining, guys.